Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Airspeed Reads Naruto video. This one is going to be for volume 42 of the manga. And this one is called The Secret of the Mangekyo. But first let's talk about this cover. I think this is probably one of the best of the entire series we've had up to now. Now admittedly, obviously I did all the first 27 volumes with the 3-in-1, so we didn't really have a lot of great covers. But so far in Shippuden, doing it volume by volume, I think this is far and away the best of them. Obviously this is the Death of Jiraiya volume, and I think it's a very fitting image to have because it's Jiraiya, it's Naruto, it's kind of Jiraiya's big realization just before he dies about like who the child of prophecy is, and kind of moving on that like Jiraiya's kind of ninja way has been passed on to Naruto, and he was going to attempt to I suppose make Jiraiya's destiny, that he would train someone who would become like make a great change in the shinobi world, that would actually be a reality. But yeah, we cover another 10 chapters again, 380 to 389, Faces, True Identities, The True Choice, the final chapter, and Two Paths, The Secret of the Mangekyo, New Light, Reality, Variance of Strength, and Sasuke's Flow. So excellent volume once again. This one obviously only covers like a couple of things. It's basically the end of the Jiraiya pain fight, a little tiny bit with Naruto and Tobi / Madara, and then the most of the second half, like roughly about the second half of this is basically the Itachi Sasuke fight. Finally it's happening and we get to see the majority of that fight just before the really powerful moves are about to come out. So definitely kind of two different types of fights. Like the Jiraiya one is more of a storied fight where the big moves and like them actually throwing attacks at each other is pretty much over. It's just figuring out who Pain is and kind of maneuvering that sort of stuff around, leading into the death of Jiraiya. Whereas the Sasuke Itachi fight is more of an actual jutsu is happening all over the place, Genjutsu, tricks, we're in the middle of a fight, we have no idea who really has the advantage just yet, it keeps swinging back and forth, and that's that. And then in the middle, as I said, it's just kind of basically Tobi Madara just playing around with Naruto and everyone else, demonstrating his kind of ability to phase through things, power consistently. But in general, I think the only reason they actually moved this volume from Jiraiya to Naruto then to Sasuke is to have the whole passing on the ninja way bit, to kind of highlight a little bit of Naruto just after the death of Jiraiya. I don't think what we get here is massively important, but there is a really interesting bit of backstory, but we'll get to it. So yeah, let's start going through this page by page. So we open up with the continued mystery of who is Pain. Jiraiya is really confused. The whole child of prophecy thing. The Ma and Pa, the Toad Sages with Jiraiya are very confused as well. They know that like he trained some people, but they're like, wait, are you saying that like there's potentially 2 of the people you trained here, or just 1? And he's like, it's the Rinnegan, so it has to be Nagato. But that last Pain I just saw was very clearly Yahiko. So what happened here? The Pain has been talking about how Yahiko's dead, and he mentions it again. So it's not Yahiko, but it's got the Rinnegan, so it has to be Nagato, and it's going back and forth that like this is the big mystery, that Jiraiya's kind of basically at this point resigned himself to the fact that I have to get this bit of information. Regardless of if I live or die, the information that has to get out of here is what is the nature of Pain, who is Pain, and that will help anyone take him down in the future. And yeah, they definitely like foreshadow his death like all the way up to it actually happening. Just with the whole idea of like you have a temporary cut back to Tsunade that she says, that's what I bet him because I never win, that he's not coming back. She actually bet Jiraiya that you won't make it back, you'll die in this mission, because of Tsunade's look. She never actually wins when she bets, and Shizune is kind of like, funny, but that's a really kind of dark bet, and it looks like this is the one time she's actually gonna like make something on one of these bets. So there's that. we begin to set up as well a couple of pages after this for the Itachi Sasuke fight, in that obviously Sasuke is heading towards the actual base where Itachi is. Kisame basically splits Sasuke up from the rest of the group. He's going to deal with them, and Sasuke is going to confront Itachi. That it's kind of like this agreement between both teams that they'll send their team leaders to fight, and they'll just kind of deal with each other. And we basically just kind of continue to there. We get the first kind of looks of the fight. Like what I see is you dead at my feet. Pretty nice page as they kind of properly kind of meet each other, but there's still obviously the question of like the Uchiha and the crazy Genjutsu, like what exactly is going on here. Yeah, from there we move back into the fight, and obviously Jiraiya's lost an arm at this point. His Sage mode, he's still in Sage mode. He's just for the most part used up a lot of his energy already. He's attacked, he's stabbed through the shoulder, and it's getting to the point now where he's kind of thinking that he might not actually make it out of this thing. He begins to then figure out that, really interestingly here, that all of the pains that he's fighting, their bodies are actually like shinobi that he's fought before in the past. That they're all people he's encountered over the course of his journey, basically since he came into contact with Nagato, Yahiko, and so on. It's really interesting how this is kind of gradually revealed. That he's kind of trying to figure this out. Like, is pain the child of prophecy, but in an evil direction, or what? He kind of has to figure this out, because if it turns out that someone's stolen the Rinnegan and it's not directly related to Yahiko or Nagato, then the prophecy still hasn't been fulfilled. But if it is, obviously one of the people he's trained, he's kind of worried about that being the case, and he eventually does kind of make the connection that all of these shinobi that he's faced before are in fact the bodies of pain. But just as he figures it out, basically one of the pains crushes his throat, so he can't speak anymore, so he can't say it out loud to anyone and have that be the case. And like, this is definitely the point where like it's kind of over now, because he's kind of defenseless at this point. He's taken a bunch of really heavy hits without fighting back, and you kind of get the idea that this is it, and you think that it's at this point he's going to die, that like he fades out of consciousness after his kind of throat has been crushed. We get the flashback. We basically get a flashback of his life, where he goes through the whole idea of Shinobi world is not a way of life, but a manner of death. A shinobi's life is not measured by how they lived, but rather how they managed to what they managed to accomplish before their death. And looking back, my life's tale was full of failure. Continually rejected by Tsunade, unable to stop my friend, unable to protect either my disciple or my teacher, Minato and Sarutobi. Compared to the great deeds of the Hokage, my actions are trifling, insignificant things indeed. I wish I could have died like each of the Hokage. A tale is only as good as its final turn of events, the plot twist, and mistakes are a more important part of the plot too. I've lived my life always believing that the lessons I've learned are what honed me. In return, I swore I would accomplish a deed so great that it would obliterate all my failures and die a splendid shinobi. At least that's how it was supposed to go, but with my plot twist, my tale ending like this, then he kind of goes into the whole prophecy and it turning out bad. And then he suddenly remembers, like, he's basically going, what a worthless story my life has been, everything's gone wrong. And then he remembers this other moment, and we see Minato in a kind of happy moment. And he's just finished reading one of Jiraiya's books, and he kind of says, like, it's actually really good, even though the sales weren't great, that he's kind of like, this is almost like a autobiography of you, your kind of greatest hits. The sales tanked, but the main character of this book is a lot like you. His determination to never give up was really cool, and he basically says that Minato says, I really hope my soon-to-be-born child can become a great splendid shinobi just like this main character. So he says, I'd like your permission to name my son after him. And that's when we get to see on page for the first time, I believe this is the first time we get to see her, but Kushina walks in here, pregnant of course, and she reveals that the name is Naruto, of course. So this is a really fascinating reveal, that the reason Naruto was named Naruto was because of the main character from Jiraiya's kind of first book, basically. That Minato and Kushina liked it enough that they wanted to name their son after it, and so Jiraiya is actually Naruto's godfather, just because of the whole naming kind of convention thing. And they kind of, hope that he'll become a great talent of a shinobi like him. And this is when Jiraiya remembers Naruto, that he's also someone he trained. He's also like a child. He basically saw kind of come into things, that he was kind of there, the inspiration behind the name, and kind of ended up training him and watching him become splendid shinobi. And it's at this point like he kind of realizes that, wait, maybe the child of prophecy isn't Nagato, Yahiko, that group. Maybe it's the apprentice I've recently started to train, Naruto, and he kind of remembers it. Yeah, he says, I'm not going to give up. That was the true choice I was supposed to make. Naruto, you are the child of prophecy. I'm sure of it now, and I'll leave the rest in your hands. And he basically uses chakra to basically burn a message into Paw Sage there. And we get that this is the message about pain, basically the truth behind pain, that's going to help Naruto to defeat pain. And everything's being left from Jiraiya to Naruto, and it's really big, and we get the panels that I think everyone will remember from the way the anime did it, and it works really well here in the manga as well. And just Jiraiya kind of accepting his death, kind of floating into the water, sinking, but he kind of has hope now. He says, the tale of Jiraiya the Gallant, now it'll end a bit better, I hope. The final chapter, a story of the frog in the well knows nothing of the great ocean, eh? Ho ho, just barely glorious, but glorious indeed. Now it's about time I put down my pen. Ah, that's right, what should I name the sequel? Let's see. And he calls it The Tale of Uzumaki Naruto. Yes, that has a nice ring to it, so really interesting that, like, he basically, in his mind, is like the actual Naruto is worthy of having a book written about him, just like the original Naruto, the character from the story, was worth writing a book about. But from there, we get that is the death of Jiraiya. The rest of the book is focused very heavily on, obviously, the fight. We get a little bit of scene here and there, but it's Itachi Sasuke from there on out. But just reflecting on this as the death of Jiraiya, that is it. It's definitely, I think, the biggest death in the series so far. Like, we've had Hiruzen Sarutobi, of course, and that was really impactful in that was your kind of classic Hokage sacrifice for the village. He did just enough to stop Orochimaru from getting an advantage in the village and forcing him to retreat. We've had Asuma Sarutobi as well, and his death was like an interesting one in that it was kind of like shocking and sudden, in that like he just found out that Kurina was pregnant, and he was obviously starting his own family, and it kind of happened quite suddenly. They were just sent out on the mission, and he kind of died on that mission. And then there was the whole Shikamaru quest for revenge. So that was a kind of different type of death. But this one, like a character who's been really important so far, like the proper mentor, like almost father figure to Naruto this entire time, who's taught him so much, just to see him die like this, and Naruto's kind of off on the mission himself, that the word is going to get to him, and it kind of sets up so many things. Obviously, the whole idea of the child of prophecy, Naruto will have to learn what to do next and decipher the message that is on the Toad Sage, and all these sort of things. It's a really powerful death here, because Jiraiya's always been like obviously a pretty comedy character with the whole kind of pervert aspect to his character, but adding this kind of really important plot destiny layer to the whole why he writes books is really fascinating to me, and just how they've taken it in this direction of like he's trained all of these shinobi and he's had this destiny, and it's actually Naruto, the one who like he initially was kind of like, oh, should I train him or not, is actually the one who might change some things. So very, very impactful. But yeah, let's get into the Itachi and Sasuke fight here. So as expected, it starts off with Genjutsu, but that's only revealed to be the case like much later into the fight. Like, you get probably like 2 or 3 chapters of them kind of talking and fighting that turns out to just be Genjutsu. that they're actually literally just standing there staring at each other, performing genjutsu on each other, but also kind of communicating with each other. It's kind of fascinating stuff as you see these various kind of points in the fight. You know, Sasuke using Chidori, they fire shurikens at each other. Sasuke uses various other Chidori techniques. Itachi uses kind of crow shadow clones, and then the kind of real kind of thing comes at the whole secret of the Mangekyo Sharingan. That this is kind of the core of why this fight is happening. Itachi, as far as we know, spared Sasuke and has kind of challenged him to become stronger than him by saying, you know, like, come back and confront me when you have the same eyes as I do, referring to the Mangekyo Sharingan. And we've always been like, okay, it's just an advancement of the Sharingan. When's that going to happen? How do you get this technique? And we get the reveals as we go on here through the explanations that, like, only, like, Sasuke would be, like, one of the first couple to, within the first couple to unlock this technique. It's super rare. Itachi basically establishes that if you get the Mangekyo Sharingan, you will be the third living Uchiha to currently have it. So it obviously creates this idea of like, okay, we know Itachi has it. We know Kakashi has it, but I don't think Itachi is fully aware of that whole idea just yet, because obviously I don't think he knows the full duality of who Madara, Obito, Tobi is. And fundamentally it's the same set of eyes as well, so he still is telling the truth in that, like, he's referring to Obito basically having one of the eyes, which is a Mangekyo eye. That's why he can use the phase through technique. Itachi himself, and then Sasuke would be the third. And then the real kind of reveal here is that over time, if you overuse the Mangekyo Sharingan, you eventually lose its ability to kind of take in light. You go blind basically by overusing the technique. That is the kind of curse behind having the most powerful ocular jutsu. And basically, the reveal is that you can keep the Mangekyo forever, have an eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, by taking the eyes of someone else who has also achieved Mangekyo Sharingan, preferably someone who is close to you. So the example that they give is that Madara is the first Uchiha to unlock the Mangekyo Sharingan. And the reason he's able to keep his for so long is because in the past they established here that he stole his brother's eyes and used them to basically take the place of his own blind eyes, and that's how he gained so much power, because he had the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. And Itachi, it's kind of revealed here, his kind of villain plot, at least as far as we know now, is that he has just basically asked Itachi to train himself up enough to basically get Itachi his spare set of eyes, so that Itachi could just beat Sasuke, take his eyes, and have the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Obviously, I think we suspect at least, that there's more to it than that, in that there was that whole mysterious moment 2 volumes ago where Itachi confronted Naruto, and kind of just left after Naruto said, you know, I'm more of a brother to him than you are, and kind of showed how much he cared about Sasuke. So there's still like something more to this, but the whole fact is they tease this like the entire time. Like there's Madara taking Izuna's eye, that we get there, the whole eternal Mangekyo Sharingan thing, and yeah, we just get that, like, part of the reveal in the Genjutsu is basically Itachi using the fact that he has Mangekyo Sharingan to temporarily overpower Sasuke in Genjutsu, and basically make him experience the fact that Itachi is taking his eyes away, and we get the hints to that he takes it out, and as far as we're aware, like, until the reveal that it is Genjutsu, Sasuke's just lost an eye here, but and it's pretty dark stuff. Like, obviously the series from here on out with regards to the Uchiha plot does focus a lot on the whole idea of stealing people's eyes and so on, and there's little reveals here and there, like establishing that, like, I think they say that at one point Itachi says that Madara was the first person to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan, which is correct in that they later clarify he was the first Uchiha to awaken it, in that we obviously now know that Indra was the first person to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan, as far as we're aware. Or maybe I'm misremembering those episodes with Hagoromo. I think Hagoromo might have had the Mangekyo Sharingan and then eventually turned into the Rinnegan. Maybe I'm probably completely misremembering that, but either way, Indra is the kind of progenitor of the Uchihas at a base level, but when they were called Uchiha, Madara was the first. For that is kind of what they do here. So yeah. But anyway, the fight does progress here. You know, Sasuke's using the curse mark a bit. He eventually breaks out of the the Tsukiyomi, not infinite Tsukiyomi. So used to where the anime is kind of, or was, just up until fairly recently. But yeah, and after that, basically, it's just like they've had all these fights in their heads, basically, about who would win, and it's fairly equal. And they just basically snap out of it, and they're finally going to actually fight. And it's going to come down to the big moves, of course. And what we get here is that Itachi is pretty much in the later stages of losing his eyesight, that he can really, he's struggling to kind of focus on Sasuke, and his vision is kind of beginning to become double, and so he kind of gets hit actually by a surprisingly weak attack from Sasuke. The kind of Shadow Shuriken Jutsu actually injures Itachi, which is definitely an interesting one. But we end the volume with Itachi revealing that he's going to use Amaterasu, which is the Mangekyo Sharingan technique of his other eye. One of them obviously is Tsukiyome, the other one is Amaterasu, and he's just about to use that. Really interesting art page for this one as he uses it. Well, obviously the fact that his eye is bleeding highlights the fact that this could be one of the last times he uses it, and it's just highlighting that the fight is getting into the really big stages now. We're getting into the important stages of this fight, but the really important stuff is yet to come. But it was interesting just to kind of give Itachi a kind of villain motivation for why he's kind of set up this whole fight with Sasuke from before. It's just the fact that, oh, he wants to steal his eyes to gain more power. Like, that's interesting, but we know there's more to Itachi. And then getting into final thoughts on this entire volume, really good volume. Getting to a fight we've been wanting for a long time, Itachi Sasuke, because this is kind of his goal. Like, for Sasuke, this is his goal. He's finally confronting Itachi. If he wins this fight, what is there for him? Like, he's basically only planned up until the point where he kills Itachi. What's after that is going to be interesting. And then we obviously get the death of Jiraiya, a very important character, and makes Pain such a powerful villain as well that he could do that. So yeah, that's been the volume, volume 42. But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.